great for Flashpoint first pick. So we'll see how NA do things differently to EU. Now, NA got a taste of European meta at Masters, and they believed that EU were ahead of them in terms of North America themselves, stating that for a lot of the pro players. So we'll see what they've adapted from that and what extra spice North America might have in difference to European.
Interesting Circuit ban here. Circuit's a strong character, specifically in the hands of some of the players on Monkey Madness, but it also shuts down healers. So do you think that the ban for Circuit tips the hand of Flashpoint?
Surprisingly, I can understand what your thought process was there, but then they picked Bologna over Terra. And if you're going to go for the Circuit ban, then maybe you want the Terra instead. But you're probably a little bit worried just about the amount of pressure that Monkey Madness are going to have in the jungle by having Circuit. But then they get Susano.
A Susano and Terra. So this is actually really terrifying for Flashpoint, no pun intended, because so when you're looking at, I think you can say that Flashpoint are the bottom card here. Monkey Madness are assumed to be the stronger individual play, as Flashpoint are some of the rookies. So Susano is a character that in the right hands can just run a game by itself, and when you give that type of character to a team that's theoretically stronger than you, it can really throw a monkey wrench in your game plan. I didn't even mean that one. I'll apologize for that one.
It was good. I
didn't even mean that one.
It's better if you don't mean it and you really just take it.
Oh, man. I feel like
I
aggro.
like the fact, though, that Capri has been given to Shadow Q here. For the simple reason is Shadow's like, all right, boys, listen, we're not expected to necessarily win this game, but we're going to give our all. What I want to see is my team, my front line commit over and over again. I will be there to pull you out of trouble. They've got Bologna and Thor to do that for them. Leave Capri at the back with the revives to help them out.
It's kind of an analogy to Flashpoint off the battlefield as well. Shadow Q is just sort of there to sit on the back lines and go, you did that wrong, you did that right. Let me help you here, let you do this here by yourself. Flashpoint last year, I sort of called this Flashpoint University with Professor Shadow Q. I think it's very similar in that regard, where Shadow Q's the vet, been around for a long time, and he's got to sort of teach his team how to succeed.
But he's not got Income with him this time around, and Income was able to do the same sort of thing as Shadow Q and also help coach these guys. But yeah, let's say Income was the TA then. But now he's not got the teaching assistant with him anymore, which means that it's on his own skill and ability to actually teach this team.
So with Incon out, Sheikah comes in. Sheikah's god pool is very, well, shaky, and Isis is one of the good ones, though. So I'm very excited to see how this works out for Flashpoint. Standard Thor in the jungle, Ho Yi, Bologna. A lot of standard picks with Sheikah's Flash in the middle lane, and then Monkey Madness is going to be Scylla, Herc, Susano, Terra, and Cupid. Let's see how this one works out. Really eager to see how Flashpoint really winds up on the battlefield.
Eager's not in this game. But yeah, Cupid, I do like the pick of Cupid. See how you did that? I did an aggro just for you, just to annoy you. But the Cupid, again, we saw this in the last set we just casted between the Pappies and Enix. Cupid's starting to rise to flavor, looking for the fight potential, the survivability, the sustain that's available for Cupid, and the fact that most of them are starting to go Bluestone more often now.
Sure.
Which is quite surprising, but that extra tick damage on hitting the Heart Bomb on the minion wave and then the dot that will be provided afterwards does help clear the lane a little bit stronger and allow them for a little bit better of wave clear.
Yeah, I mean, it's 15 power on top of it, right? On top of the little Bluestone. It's 15 power on top of the passive as well as some mana, so I think that's why we see the Bluestone. But
keep an eye on the support starts as well. Shadow Q started off with the Sunder. Both of them did go for the Lono's Mask, which we've not really touched on. It is still one of the newer items where you get stacks that give you some gold back once you complete those stacks, and some health too. But his opposition, Jigs, the more math crafting known support player here, has gone with the Frenzy start at the beginning of this game, since that got introduced as well recently. Right,
yeah, we generally see this happen, and you can see already using that one. Looking for the fast clear on the left side jungle. Right side jungle, however, fine, okay, dealing some damage, and Flashpoint going to maintain control of the lane and push into the jungle with Mirage making the wrap.
But notice the Shadow Q started in solo lane to help Bologna clear this wave quicker. Nice little knock up from Fine OK. It won't be enough to steal away the buff, and that's what he was really looking for there, still only being level 1. But the pressure that Flashpoint put on the middle and right-hand side has out-traded what Monkey Madness offered across the rest of the map. Like Vetium and Jigs here, yeah, they've stolen red so far. Now they're going to get purple, but still, the right-hand side is still fully in control of Flashpoint.
So I think we're at a point now as we enter our summer split, today being the inaugural day of that split, where Andenster is no longer new to the mid lane. He's been here for a decent amount of time now, and I think it's fair to evaluate him comparatively speaking to other mid laners.
I can do that.
Where do you think Andy sits?
Andy sits middle of the pack right now, and some of that is definitely down to God Pool. For me, his God Pool isn't that big on Andenster. The God State he's been playing and he's showed that he's good at. Granted, his Ra's amazing.
Scylla and Ra crush it.
But outside of that, what else has he really got? He's not shown us that much that has really performed in the mid lane to the level that you expect mid lanes to have very deep god pulls. Hunters are mixed in there, and Andy used to play Hunters in the jungle, so he should be able to. But you need to have a very variable, flexible opportunities for yourself in the mid lane, and not just be able to hard stick to 2. Not necessarily meaning he can't play them.
Andy played Uller in the jungle.
Damn, that's a Hunter, right?
You made it sound like he's bringing Shibalonga jungle. Shouts to Proxy QQ.
Well,
that's a throwback.
That is quite a throwback. Shibalonga jungle of all things is almost as bad as Geb jungle, I'd say. Actually, no, I actually think it'd be better than Geb jungle because Darkest Night is better for gang potential.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it was always very interesting to me because we had our North American Andy and our European adapting. These guys are sort of top of the jungle level. Top of the jungle! And bottom of the barrel is going to be Andy!
Although, hang on a second, because Homie FA might turn that around.
The heel and a Shaker!
5 from Shaker, the Spirit Ball 2. Mirage comes back in with a double tap. And Mirage will get a kill, as does Shaker. That combination of CC chain in the mid lane coming out there from Flashpoint was absolutely beautiful, bonkers play that just sets him up for the first kill.
Listen, it's one play, and I'm not saying Shaker's the second coming or anything, but that play right there reminded me of Saya's Isis. Just the complete control of all of the abilities. Isis is a control mage, and too often we see her as a push mage. Shaker, my hat off to you. What a play.
Same time, though, Anis has probably not had to deal with being on the receiving end of a Thor-Isis combo as a mid laner either. Because that's a classic old-school combo that we saw for a very long time. Early pressure from a Thor and Isis, the combination of wall into silence or spirit ball, wing gust, double tap, spin to win. So much damage that can come out from that combo, and he took Aegis at the start of the game. We never really touched on it because the Aegis isn't going to be great against CC chains because you can't use it if you are stuck in the CC chain. And you saw how late his Aegis was because the wall, the Spirit Ball were all on point.
To be completely fair to Andy's relic selection, if he beads, he still would have been in trouble because you can't beads a wall. Andy's level 5, misses his ultimate right there. Homie FA only level 4, chases down the kill with the help of Venium all the way from the long lane. Shaker's in trouble here though. Pops the Isis ultimate for a heal and has to get out of here.
Not gonna lie, Sops, this is on you as you're watching your team die in the mid lane now. You should have called that rotation of Vetium up and rotating yourself because now Shadow Q's dead. It looks like we're gonna see Shaker fall too. Homie FA has his ultimate up and Lafargo's in trouble with Fido K turning up, but luckily enough he misses the driving strike.
Really well done by Flashpoint initially, but a perfect answer back by Monkey Madness.
I know I just fired there, Sops, because I was right too. Sops was the one that caused a lot of problems there. Vetium and the team of Flashpoint were all out of that fight until Vetium had swung around from the duo lane and drops the Fields of Love on the escape route where they were technically out. And that's what cost them the fight. That's where Monkey Madness gets in. Sops should have called that or rotated, but Vetium, got to give him credit for that rotation.
That's the key.
Beautiful.
See, Sops should have called that. I won't
I'm not gonna
I won't
too much.
rash Sops for not rotating because you're not supposed to quote unquote rotate at that point. Whoever made the call on MM to make that to make Vetium rotate out of the long lane, they're the ones to get the high five because it's an unexpected rotation and that's what wins your fights in Smite most of the time. The unexpected.
And you also know how strong Cupid can be in the boxing fight at level 5. He's very, very good for the setup potential, especially after Flashpoint just use all their abilities to engage that fight and then realize they can't fight, so they disengage. And then to walk into a Fields of Love that just sets up everybody running for their own lives, trying to survive individually, meaning the monkeys shred them apart.
And that's where MM are going to succeed here versus this squad as Dante LaFargo gets chunked, is their ability to stay calm in chaos, right? Rookies, when it comes to newer teams, the thing that you see most notably is the inability to close games. When it comes to rookie players individually, it's the inability to keep your head on straight when everything's going awry. MM win that team fight for a number of reasons, one of which is absolutely the fact that they turned everything upside down, and the guys on Flashpoint, like you said, were just every man for himself, run, run, run.
And sometimes you have to do that. You have to make the audible to call every man for himself.
Oh, sure.
But they all fell down, and now Homie FA's in a bit of trouble here, though. Mirage realized that he was out of mana, out of position on his own, didn't know about reinforcements, so I do like the ultimate there. He took a lot more poke than he could have for trying to walk away, but by using that, he guaranteed his own safety.
So you mentioned that Incon was gone here, right? And that sort of secondary, that first mate that Shadow Q had is gone. Well, it's Mirage's turn here. Homie FA gets grabbed before he can grab himself. There's going to be
Shaker.
issues. Shaker's in trouble. He gets a heal from his support player.
Oh, he's in trouble now. No, they have no gun jukes from Shadowkey to make sure he turns on his head. You saw Anderson just sat waiting, going, go on, revive, and I'm going to dunk you both at the same time and get a reset. Shadowkey's like, no, no, no. Last second sidestep, saves his mid laner, and gets the kill on Anister.
So, Flashpoint last year had Incon. This year, it's Mirage. He's got to be the guy that's got to be that pseudo-veteran presence, because his first shot, he's on Noble, and that's Baby's first SPL team. Then, the analogy that I said last year with Flashpoint was, he was the guy transferring out of community college to a real school, right? This is that next step up here on Flashpoint. Well, now with Incon gone, Mirage has to be some sort of leadership. Shadowkey's the #1, but Mirage has to be the #2, and I don't think he's been that yet in his short career, and it's very important. He's going to either sink or swim.
Yeah, it's basically up to him and Shadowkey for the communication side, because I expect Shaker will sit back a little bit and just listen to instruction.
After the way he's playing here, I don't think so. If Shadowkey's the professor and Mirage is the TA, Shaker's the kid in the front row answering every question correctly. He's going to be the one to step up and do the TA's job.
Well, we'll see if we can do it. Let's find out as the season goes on, but this is a great start for them. It is Isis Thor. For me, though, it's Isis Thor, and I expect Isis and Thor to do very well in the early game.
Of course.
But Monkeys are making a couple of mistakes I wasn't expecting them to. They're probably not giving as much respect to Flashpoint as they first thought. I think that will change, though, as this game continues. With Vetium doing that early rotation, it kind of shows that Monkeys were like, okay, hang on, we messed up at the start here. We didn't respect them enough. All right, let's start to work as a team now. If it requires us to make a couple of early rotations, let's make that happen.
And at the end of the day, they still have homie FA, who's
Shaker,
going to do stuff like that. Pulling Shaker in, help for the mid lane. He does have a heal, but Jigs is able to get him down at the last tick, that last moment. All the way on the right side, Final K falls as well.
Mirage was up in the sky there around the elementals, and I was like, is he going to go mid and try and help out his mid laner? But it was too little too late, and I think he was like, I don't think I can reach this. I won't be there in time. Instead makes a good play onto Final K, which evens it up across the map. Obviously, Shaker falling down they won't like, but I don't think Monkeys will be happy about the fact Final K died there either.
Yeah, Final K has been a very strong look, honestly, for MM, previously SOAR. Not a full year of SPL under his belt just yet. I think just 1 split or so, starting out last season, or in the spring split. But still, I've really liked what I've seen out of Final K, not just in-game, but out of game too. Homie, well, I can't call him Homie because Homie FA's in this game, but the guy has a really, really useful YouTube channel, and he's really engaging with the community. I love to see that out of the pros.
Yeah, just to give their viewpoint, their stance, just to teach others and allow them to learn the game at a better level. They're never going to know the ins and outs of everything that goes on in a pro game, but getting some insight is just so useful to teach people to get better and learn. That's how I started learning the game myself, was watching the streams and listening to what other players had to say.
Exactly. I mean, I was in Zapman's stream every day 4 years ago just trying to learn things, and now, you know, well, here I am just kind of talking about it. So.
I was going to say, I was going to blame, so I blame Zapman then for everything you say. So if anybody doesn't like Tom's casting, the Pappy specifically, head over to Zapman and blame him. It's all his fault.
There it is. Homie FA is still in control here, though. He's 2 levels down, and yet I say he's still in control because he's able to make the plays that he's doing in the mid lane.
This is a good play, though, coming out from Flashpoint. Trying to recognize Flashpoint here, that they have an opportunity to try and take away the Portal Demon. I like the idea.
This is classic Shadow Q call. Classic Shadow Q call. Big heads up when it comes to the objectives. I don't like the leash there. I know Final K was coming with the boulder, but I still would have liked to see them come in after that amount of time.
The reason I like the Portal Demon call there is because most people will be paying attention to the goal for early on. They won't necessarily think about warding up and controlling the Portal Demon pit. And it is still with golden experience, plus a free portal back towards the mid lane, which can provide extra pressure from a different way to initiate, so to speak. But now they gave up that pressure, it looks like Monkeys have actually started up the Gold Fury here, as we do have a quick pause coming out between the two teams.
4-4 here, just shy of 11 minutes, and a team separated by minimal amounts of gold, so everybody really trying to find their footing. Although I think everybody is a little bit surprised pleasantly at how Flashpoint have been doing. I did not expect that level of play.
I like the draft. That's what it is for me. I think the draft was the right idea for to get themselves off to a winning point. Even if they don't win this set because they're not necessarily expected to, but get yourself off on the right foot. Give people comfortable picks. Mirage on Thor, something that he's very, very solid at. Obviously, he would have preferred Thanatos if he could. But it looks like the Golf Fury did get reset there as Mirage commits, looking for Anister again.
And there's a girdle coming out from the guys on MM. Shadow Q going to save himself right in the middle of Sop's Sons.
Mirage.
There's going to be damage going on the left side, and Vedium able to take down Mirage. It's just one so far. Sobs gets flipped. Sobs gets kicked as well. Trying to jump out of the south side. He will. And Shaker just providing damage from the right. But Home AFA taking out the Hunter.
Shaker's just out of position on this right-hand side, not really doing anything around that corner. Now he's been isolated and alone as Dante's still trading against 3. Vetium trying to run down Shaker, and that will be a pickup. The beads will not help him there. And I think Shaker could have rotated around the red buff camp, joined his team a little bit earlier, maybe supported them from there. Because as that fight developed, once Shadow Q fell down, it just became absolute chaos.
Shaker didn't do anything wrong in that specific team fight, but he didn't do anything hard stop in that team fight. His ult's still up.
But it was such an awkward fight. You can't get ready to really ult there because nobody. Who'd you ult? Just one of the guys.
No,
in
you
your
got to wrap around all your team.
Precisely. Try and get back towards your team. Selb used the wing cuss to reposition again. But being around that corner, it wasn't just him though. I'm just looking at Shaker was like, he didn't do anything in that fight. That's why it's really obvious to the naked eye.
Exactly. Yeah, there was nothing that happened when, if you're going to pick the Isis, people always talk about Isis' early game prowess, and that's because Wing Gust allows a lot of pressure in lane, but the ultimate is strong all throughout the game because it just, similar to Bologna ult, this is our area to fight. Fight in it if you want, and we will win.
And now the early game's starting to come to an end now. Golf Fury going the way of Monkey Madness means that the scoreboard is in their favor for the time being. And they do have a better late game composition too. So as this game continues to grow, Flashpoint, they're not necessarily on a clock, but they are in one way because they realize that eventually the damage numbers that Monkey Madness will put out will supersede what they have to offer themselves.
Yeah, it's not like they're, Sop's in trouble. He does get the purple. He'll take a bunch of damage from Vedium, who still has the dash available, keep in mind, but the dash doesn't go through walls.
Love the call from Sops to go towards the Golf Fury pit and jump over the wall there. Clear the wave and go back to safety again. He's the hot bomb, obviously. But I like his pathing choice there. He could have had he could have continued running and Vetium was continuing.
The minion's going to stop him from packing.
I hate when that happens.
Oh, Sops.
When you look at a minion, you're like, please don't hit me. Just listen. I'm pointing a second away and this archer arrow just comes flying at you. You're like, really?
Yep.
Really? I hate you right now.
He thought he had the time. Unfortunately for him, not going to be the case. Mid lane, a lot of pressure as the rotation from Vedium is coming here, trying to catch Shaker off guard like he did the first time. But Shaker's got a ward in that left jungle. Fool me once, right? So not going to happen a second time, at least just yet. MM grouping up on the right side.
So Shaker's got to be careful here because he knows monkeys have all gone to the right-hand side, but with Shadow Q going back to base and left-hand side Sops was there, you can see that Mirage has been forced to ult a little bit earlier than he would have liked just to make sure he's got vision of this and go, okay, they're not doing it right now, we can pressure mid lane. Mirage can cut off the option of them coming back if they want to, or go and get some wards down at the Portal Demon just in case it's getting done.
Still looking for the Portal Demon. Huh. Vision going to be stripped away from MM if Flashpoint drop their own sentry.
This is Monkey Madness, though, realizing that what they've got an advantage of is the last team fight went so well in their favor when they fought as a 5-man unit. They feel they can do the same thing again.
They just want another fight.
So let's bait around the Portal Demon, bring them all in again, win another fight, take the Portal Demon, maybe even the Fire Giant off that, or a couple of towers.
And that is going to be... I don't think that's a good choice for MM, Hindu Man. I think that last fight was 4-on-5. Shaker just tossed out basics. And it's still the same thing.
Great wall.
Shaker's not there just yet. Dr. LaFargo making the rotation. But as you pointed out, a fantastic wall from Mirage separating the team fight.
But no, it was 2 ults for 2 ults used there, I believe. Actually, Mirage was down a little bit earlier than that. So it was 2 for 1 in terms of ultimates. Fine, okay, with a nice driving strike. Eagles running from Dante Fargo. Didn't find the stun. Didn't find the bludgeon in response. So the boulder already used by Fine OK. And he's 1 hit from death, and Sops will claim credit for the kill.
Shaker's low. Mirage is low. Dante LaFargo's low. But as you said, Fine OK is the only 1-0. MM have suffered a casualty, and yet they still want the objective.
They can steal it with a crush at the end, and it will go the way of Monkeys, because Anderson just held the crush to the last second. Wisely done.
Well
that was Monkeys recognizing that the health pools of the damage dealers at Flashpoint were too low to really contest.
Exactly.
So they still, even though they lost the fight with Fine OK, the health bars were too low for Flashpoint to even look at contesting properly.
We always preach target selection and not splitting your DPS. That is, and this is why absolutes are never correct. Ha ha ha. Right? When it comes down to it, Monkey Madness succeeded in that engagement because they split their DPS up. They made sure that a number of players were not healthy enough to go ahead and fight. When there are 3 people in the yellow, it's all green for the objective for the other team.
So the gold actually goes a little bit further in Monkey's favor there. It's not a huge amount that it goes up just because Portal Demon's not worth as much now, but it does provide that extra pull back to the map, deny a little bit of aggression from Flashpoint around the fire jack with a man advantage for a few seconds, just because the portal's available for Monkeys to come through and defend.
Listen, you got to do maintenance, right? Not every single objective is going to be this slam dunk. Sometimes you need to make these smaller steps, and it's interesting to see a team like Monkey Madness with names like Homie F.A. Anderson, Jigs. This is an established team, and they realize that they have to take smaller steps against this team full of rookies and unestablished pros.
Because if they don't, Flashpoint's CC chain is insane. That's the big key here. Their crowd control combinations they have available to them are just so good at shutting down members of Monkeys from doing anything.
Right.
Anderson gets caught out of position, it's instant beads, instant disengage, and then he's got to be very careful about his positioning, because next time round, Thor will be on his head, you're going to see the abduct come out, the spirit ball, the silence, so many combinations that Flashpoint have at their disposal for CC chaining that they have to be careful, Monkeys, about overextending.
That's what they've been doing so far, and it hasn't really hurt them too much, which is why we're going to continue to see it. Yeah,
not so much. I mean, to be fair, it hurt them in the early game as we expected, but now that the pace has started to be set by Monkeys, it's a bit of a different story. Now the Gold Fury is back available, though, and trying to find a little bit of poke damage on Jigs would have been nice there. Wanted to test the waters, just see how much that double tap would have hit. In fairness, it wouldn't have been as much as you may. I know what you're going, oh, he missed a double tap, but in my eyes, I'm like, oh, it was still. Hang on a second. Stops.
He got beads. He's strong.
He's not strong anymore because Gold Fury's up here, I thought, and now that Sops has no beads, he's going to play so far back that those suns that rain down from the ultimate mean he's going to do that from deeper or risk himself going too far forward.
Hey, shouts to the discipline coming out from MM. Drop it ultimate, right? As soon as the beads come out, they turn around. No thought about even chasing that kill in a Flashpoint's jungle, because that's how you throw a lead.
Also because you know the rotation will come out from Flashpoint, and when the Capri's hanging in the wings, you know they'll save Sops anyway. So getting the beads up is all they really could get as a bonus there. It's either kill or get beads. That's all that was ever going to happen. The rest they just have to give up.
You know, Hitterman, this has been a really fun game to watch. We've got a decent amount of action, but more importantly, where the action has been. Flashpoint is a big question mark to me, and we're getting to see Shaker come out and make his plays. Dante LaFargo, I want to see him now. Make a couple of plays, Dante. I mean, you're Bologna, so come on through and let's see you jump on people.
A lot closer than I expected to be, but now is the telling point. The 16 to 20 minute mark for me is the real telling point of how games go, and a free Gold Fury going the way
Mirage sets it up, and he has to hold that. Cantless loose the ultimate, pops down the wall. That was a play where nothing happening is the win. That's the win.
Things are still happening. Homie F.A. making sure that's the situation.
What are you doing?
Shaker's already dead. Dante rooted in place, knocked up in the air, forced the Eagles rally back to safety, but the damage is done. The ultimate used as well, and Vetim's looking to clean up with one more hit. I don't think he's got the damage, though. The Gold Fury still available for the Monkeys to return to.
Shaker didn't have to die there. Shaker shouldn't have died there, and since he does die there, that's a problem.
One of the reasons we've not seen Isis for a while, but she's started to come back now, is that she is a squishy mage. Talking about squishy, Jigs isn't not supposed to be squishy. But the sun's raining down, Jigs is out!
Nah, Mirage is going to keep up following
He's
him.
Out.
Looking for the basics, uses beats to get away. One whap is good enough, Jigs falls down. It's a 4-on-4. Shaker's coming out of the base, but he'll make it too late. Andy taking down Shadow Q already, but Mirage answers back. It's a 3-on-3. Now Homie F.A. in trouble. Basics are good. He can't attack. Nice teleport. He's going to dash away. That's the power of Susanoo, but here comes Mirage. What abilities does he have up? He doesn't have anything, and that's that. MM able to walk away What a brawl.
Oh,
Just an all-out brawl.
I don't think they really want to stop the Gold Fury here. No ultimates available. A little bit of time on Shaker's ultimate to come up,
Yeah,
though. I'm not
Shaker's
sure if it's going to be in time right now. Fine, okay on zone duty. Driving strikes Dante. But the burst is just too real. Andy's ult's available again. He might have time to do this. He might have time to do this.
But he went for the kill.
Didn't find it. Flashpoint. Get the Gold Fury.
A bird in one hand is better than two in the bush. Andy should have gone for the objective, in my opinion. He should have gone.
That's a 50-50 call in my book.
Sure, it's a 50-50 call, but it's a 50-50 call in both of those scenarios.
If he gets Dante, he gets the reset. Now, this is what I think. I'm like, if he gets Dante, he may get the reset off the kill, which means he's got it available again to hit the Gold Fury in the next rotation of it. If he goes straight for the Gold Fury, there's a chance that the moment he tries to ult it, they reset and pull back. Gold Fury unleashes. It's immune to the damage.
See, for me, if he goes for the kill on Dante LaFargo, he gets the reset and the Gold Fury is already dead.
Sure. And
I
can see it. I can see what he was thinking. I think he just thought it was the safer option to try and pick up the kill.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the play to make. But in the end, Gold Fury to Flashpoint, and now they're looking to continue. Eagles rally to the back. 4-man from Dante. But he's going to force the Cupid ultimate out from Betty in there. Dante comes out on top, meaning the Portal Demon goes the way of Flashpoint as well.
That's a huge win. The Cupid ultimate is fantastic for controlling areas, for controlling to zone people out. I mean, I gave Warchi a high five for using an ultimate that hit 0 people. And Andinster on the Scylla, not quite single target, but much more focused. The crush is big, but not as big as the Fields of Love. With the ultimate down for Vedium, that opens up so many other parts of the map for Flashpoint to go ahead and aggress on.
And now Dante can just go back to the Ryan side, continue farming up, still has his tier 1 tower standing. And you wanted to see Dante do some stuff. I think he's been very, very solid in this lane so far.
Yes.
He did get some pressure from Mirage early on, getting that early kill onto Fine OK. Really opened up a bit of a window here to just survive, do his thing, and now turn into Bologna that you expect.
Exactly.
In the later stages of the game.
Yeah, now is... So I wasn't saying I haven't seen it yet, where is it? I was saying Bologna's got to come online, and when it does, let's see what happens. Now, I liked the other plays better than this one. Shadow Q's going to help out his solo laner, thankfully. Andy waiting it out. Too soon, Executus! But still, might go down. Dante LaFargo just dancing out, jumps out as well. Stops in trouble in the mid lane, and he gets the kill on the Shadow Q. But Homie FH in trouble. Mirage, aggressive or defensive. What was that? Oh my goodness, gets the stun, but he's gonna give up his life here, folks.
Well, he's looking for the hammer over the wall, and he'll get it. He won't give up his life. It's a great escape today in this set. It's like, who can survive the longest is the question.
Oh my goodness.
And who's gonna make the biggest mistakes? Monkeys right now, they'll get the tier 1 in mid lane, strip away the red buff on the left. Shadow Q was the only one that fell in that engagement, and to credit to Shadow Q, he did his job. He helped his teammates survive, and ended up being a casualty of war to make sure Dante survived to live to fight another day.
And the fact that Dante's still around allows a lot of defensive options for Flashpoint. Unfortunately for them and their fans, they lose that tier 1 tower, but they still maintain a very slight gold lead. It's beneath 1,000, so it's less about, the reason I mentioned it, it's less about an actual lead and more about just an illustration of where they've come, where they are. Oh, this is silly. Okay, good.
I think that was a warning shot to see if anybody was around, if they had vision, and if nobody was around for Monkeys there, maybe they could.
It's like robbing a bank, right?
Yeah, you're looking to steal it, but you're not necessarily going to work if the police actually sat at the door.
Yeah, you throw the brick on the through the window day 1, you see how long the cops take to come. And then day 2, when you actually rob the bank, you know exactly how long the cops are going to take. So so Flashpoint show up and they throw stuff at the fire giant. Okay, they show up in 5 seconds. We can't do this right now. We'll wait till later.
We'll have to wait until a few more seconds, that's for sure. Try a different time of day, maybe. When they're sleeping, we'll try and catch them there.
Exactly. That's what they're looking for right there.
But this is still an even game. The problem is as I mentioned earlier, Monkey's composition here is stronger the longer this game goes. And Flashpoint will have Shaker obviously on this ISIS with the Spirit Ball detonation of the ultimate combination, the Circle Protection is great. But if you don't find that combo, you're in trouble.
And you want to know what's even more exciting to me? It's the Dispel magic on the side of Shaker. It's a silence, it's a slow. We all know that. It's a protection shred. It's a huge protection shred. You're talking, she's level 15. You're talking like 20. Trouble here.
Vetium took the trade off Sops, got a nice ricochet. In the end, it's even. Vetium will fall back down and sustain back with his hearts, and Sops just sat and ate it because he realized he had beads, he had Aegis, didn't want to use either. Straight 1v1.
And I love that play from Sops. Like that play out of Vetium. That play out of Vetium is to strip relics.
Did you see what he did right there, though. I really like that. He tried to ricochet off the wall of his own tower to clear the wave, but instead...
The last second Aegis! Will he be safe? Oh, no.
Beads coming out from Homie FA will allow him to escape, and Vetium healing up. Shadow round the corner, looking to collapse. Bad news is if Shadow keeps going in here, Answer's dropping round, as is Jigs to reinforce, and Shadow's dash being down, they may look to commit, and they will look for Shadow Q.
Mirage goes to the sky, might change this gameplay. Lands right on the back line into Terra Nonsense, trying to block Homie FA in instead of out. And Shake is going to toss a stun ball, not going to get hit, but he will get hit by the crush. Not enough to take him down. Tier 1 falls.
And that's just because having the Hunter there was a little bit more available for them. In the jungle, though, Dante's being pressured out by Fine OK here, trying to make sure he's pinned down, can't get back to base. He should be able to run him down. Fine OK at full health. This should be a free kill in the solo lane. No, he has to give it up at the last second. It's about survival, this game. Like, everyone keeps getting away with various amounts of health every time.
That's been the story of the day. I mean, did you see Nulissa wound up falling, but you saw that Nulissa play. That was intelligent. That was incredible.
Problem is, though, Monkeys hung around a little bit too long, wanting the goal through. They might find Shaker, though, again, who just burst down. And Vetium's in a bit of trouble there, but the Aegis buys him enough time for the Cupid ult to explode and get that Mesmerize off.
Write this one in your notebooks, folks. This could be the turning point of the game at 26 minutes here. This team fight for MM has been, it's just been better than the rest of the fights that we've seen so far out of the Red Squad. The double stuns repeatedly coming out of the Terra play from Jigs. What wonderful control. Subs takes down Fine OK, but it's a backline.
Beautiful play from Flashpoint, honestly, there. But Homie FA's got a little bit deep, and he chose the right angle. He wasn't choosing to go towards Sops. He was trying to escape in the end, but Sops still under pressure. Jigs gets a bit of
Jigs is screaming at his team right now. What are you doing? I've locked down Sops completely. And Andy, Vetium, and Homie FA can't get in because of the zoning by Flashpoint. That was MM's arguable best team fight this game, and it still doesn't wind up as good as I thought it would have. I honestly expected MM to wipe or come close to it, but the control from Flashpoint was there.
Not gonna lie, the calls from Flashpoint seem to be really solid.
Yeah.
Really solid. Like, when we're gonna contest, when we're not gonna contest, what we're gonna try and do in these engagements seems to be working in their favor. Biggest problems I see for them, though, is the fact that slight positioning issues seem to be the problem. Shaker specifically, he's either too far forward or he's off to the side a little bit. He's going to have to correct that going forward. That's all doom and gloom, though, because like his Spirit Balls have been monumentally good.
And he's a newer player in the grand scheme of things, right? These are the mistakes that you kind of expect coming out of a challenge. Because again, talking about the poppies I mentioned, you're just used to playing against a lower threshold of player. You get away with more stuff. You don't get punished as often in the lower scenes strictly because they're not as good, right? You're playing against MM. Homie FA is arguably one of the best jugglers in the world. He's going to punish you.
Look at it this way. You're in the highest league available for their level of play.
Yeah.
And this is the first time they've been there playing at the highest level of day in, day out in the SPL. There's going to be so much learning and transitioning from ranked
Mirage in the sky. Mirage in the sky. Lands on down. Gold Fury goes the way
of
monkey madness.
But now Mirage is into monster monkeys. Why not? There's a monster, that's why.
They're certainly not modest.
No, that one's not, but I don't think Andy's going to be in range for the next one. Stops it to Jew back, though. I didn't think he was going to get out. And now Shaker's on the run again. Crush will hit. Aegis used. And meanwhile, look where Shadow Q and Dante were. Completely different page. There's the problems.
14-9. MM with a great play. See, Shaker, man, he's reminding me of Sayo.
The Spirit Balls are really good.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Monkey Man is not done there with the Gold Fury. They're going to push on for a Tier 2. That's going to turn that 3,000 into 4,000, 4,500 to be more specific.
And there's the dip. There's the dip in the graph. You were saying you expect this could be the turning point. Well, it is. And now Dante, mid lane getting picked here. Forced the Eagles rally back to safety. Also the ult used from Shadow Q. 2 ults down. Shaker, Spirit Ball will clear a couple of minions. But I tell you what, Monkeys will clear the tower.
Easy. Or at least they're making it look so. The first 25 minutes of this game did not look easy, but MM able to just turn around and make one team fight and able to just take this one to the bank.
But that wasn't really a team fight, that last one, because what it was the damage dealers were all grouped together, and the front line, Dante and Shadow Q, were in mid lane.
Yeah, that's
true.
They
weren't grouped up, and Monkeys recognized that, abused the situation, and then it's like, well, that's why we lost all this gold.
Yeah, just, oh man. Let me be very honest with you for a second, Hindu man. I was not excited about this Flashpoint roster. I thought this was going to be a boring match. I thought that this team was just going to sort of do things for 5 weeks, and I have already changed my expectations.
I mean, I think the reason everyone probably came into that thinking that about Flashpoint is because of last split as well. Last split, similar story with more known players on the roster too. Incon specifically. Incon on the roster, like, they expect something out of this team. Right. Now it's Shadow Q with Mirage again, and Mirage has been around a little bit, but he's never really been the flashy guy on the team. And then you add 3 rookies to that, 3 rookies in the Pro League. You're not going to expect miracles.
Sure.
It's the same way you look at Pappies and think they're probably going to be in the bottom 2 just because they're not used to the pace of the Pro League.
I think it's the other way around. Last split, you're right. They had more name recognition, but we all remember ALG. Matty Pocket didn't do anything. He was miserable, right? So it's not about name power. It's about how good you are. And what I'm seeing out of Sheikah, no disrespect to the former teammates, what I'm seeing out of Sheikah is already better than what we saw out of other members on Flashpoint last split. This is exciting for me. I know Sheikah from watching. Stops is a newer name, and I'm still excited.
And this is game 1. Remember that. This is still game 1. There's another chance for Flashpoint if they do lose this one anyway. Talking about that, it looks like Dante's in enough trouble, though. The walls come crashing in from Jigs, forcing Shadow Q's ult as well. 2 ultimates down, and that means the carries have to protect themselves now.
Fine, okay, with a nice try, but can't find the flip. And our Monkey Madness able to control the right side of the map, forcing Bologna back. It's a 5-on-4 should Flashpoint want to engage.
This should be more of a Fire Giant contest. They use the Walls of Terror to get them in that corridor, stun them, root them, Fields of Love them. Shadow Q knocked back up in the air, avoids the Fields of Love, but Jigs is the one in trouble. The silent CC chain from Sheikah was good enough. Sops took a lot of poke there, but Vetium takes out Mirage, a big target down. Jungler for support.
Really big deal that Mirage is dead. One, he seems to be one of the players really driving these engagements. His ultimate as a Thor is very important right now.
Again, Dante
he's
on the
isolated.
Again, gets picked in the same spot where they forced the Eagles rally earlier on. Just looking to try and wrap around the side, push some minions out at the same time. And instead it gives Monkeys a power play at the tier 2.
And this one, with these players dead, with Mirage and Dante LaFargo down for a long time, I think this is definitely MM's spot to go ahead and take a tier 2 nice and easy. Fine, okay, gonna push up in this lane. Shadow Q can't do much, and Sheikah can just wave the wings.
And I expected Monkeys to siege around the Fire Giant there, try and bait another 1 or 2 in, but instead they find the pick, take a tier 2 because it's more accessible to him with a minion wave coming in, then fall back and rinse repeat. They hung at the corner there, looking for an opportunity to catch somebody rotating around, but Shadow Q just too aware. Quick pause though, coming out from the 2 teams.
Yeah, slight disconnect here with Sops. He's got to go ahead and get his everything else together and see what they can do. Now, you mentioned that, you know, this was an early game draft. So to see the collapse come a little bit later, not really surprising, I guess you could say. But what I want to highlight is the fact that, despite the fact that, yeah, they're an early game draft, they're supposed to win the early game, they went above and beyond.
They're executing their draft well, though, for the fact that now that the game's gone towards the later stages, the execution of their composition is good. They're doing the right things at the right time in some of the team fights. It's just some of them are either out of position a couple of times, or the execution hasn't been perfect and crystal clear. And then once the call has become disengage, that's where things go awry.
Yeah, I'm seeing similar stuff out of this team that I saw with the Poppies, where you're almost there. You got a couple of bad habits from playing against players that are on a lower level than what you're expecting here in the SMITE Pro League, and then of course that positioning issue, which is, I guess, kind of the same problem as issue number 1, but issue number 0, the DC, we fixed it. We'll get right back in the game here. No more pauses. 10-16. 32 minutes in, and MM leading this one by about 8,000 gold, and, well, the DC's still there, unfortunately. Sob's unable to reconnect, and as per the SMITE Pro League rules, each team only gets about 2 pauses, 10 minutes in total, so that be that.
I'm sure we'll get more word from the administrators as time goes on about what's going on there with Sobs at the moment, but it's a bit of an awkward position for Flashpoint to be in. Obviously, the lead was already in Monkeys' favor. I want to call them Monsters the whole time now. Monkey Monsters.
Well, it depends.
Monkeys.
I mean,
Double M.
Yeah, I wouldn't say monsters. They're like monkey losers, but they're winning.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it made sense if you want to.
It makes more sense to me
Fire
calling
Giant goes the way
of
Monkey Madness.
Yeah, about the same. But 33 minutes in now, it's a lot of pressure on the side of Flashpoint. With Sops not being available now due to this DC and no towers remaining, Flashpoint just have to play guard duty in their Phoenix line, hope for the best, look for the Monkeys to make a small mistake here of overextending. And more than likely, the one that overextend is fine okay. And if they lose fine okay, it will be fine.
No, don't do it.
I wasn't intentional, but it was like, they will be fine if they lose it.
Yeah.
If they lose Shaker, though.
Shaker's not fine.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to high five you or slap you in the face.
I thought that one felt pretty good. I thought that was pretty well
did.
timed.
It did feel pretty
Thank
good.
you.
Somewhere aggro is so happy right now.
God, did I make aggro? I don't want to make aggro happy ever.
That's what I'm saying.
Never doing that again. Never doing that again. Mistakes were made. I like the fact Monkeys are kind of slowing it down for a second because I think they were trying to give chance for Sops to get back in, and that's what's happened here. Sops is now back in the game.
Yeah, that's what I do when I'm trying to give somebody time to get back in. I do Gold Fury and put my lead even further up.
But do you really need the Gold Fury, though? Realistically, could have they taken a Phoenix 4v5? Yeah. Are the minions in the right position to really siege a Phoenix here? Yeah, I actually think the Monkeys, whether they'll admit to this or not, I think they just kind of held off for a second and hope those Sops give them an extra minute to come back.
I'm going to be the bad guy real quick. I don't like that.
You play to win.
Play to win, no matter what.
I get that. I get that too. I'd kill a DC if it was a. Listen, if I was in the World Championships, someone DC'd.
That's what I'm saying.
Someone DC'd. I'm taking him to the bank.
That's what I'm saying.
Taking him to the bank.
You want to have your own rules for
money.
your casuals or even your ranked game? Sure, do whatever you want. This is the big leagues. Sure, I'm going to care about you if you get injured, but I'm going to step over you and score while I care about you. That's kind of the analogy here. Is like, look, if you DC, I'm sorry, man. I'll tweet at you. I hope you feel better. But I'm still going to kill you, take your Phoenix, and run to your Titan. Absolutely.
Sure.
Play to win.
Well, Monkeys looking for potentially their last siege to secure themselves this game right now.
The modest
All
Monkeys.
of Flashpoint, they're not modest. None of these boys in this team are modest.
Final K is pretty modest. And Homie F is very
that'll
modest.
change being on this team, I'll tell you that much as time goes on. But right now, Monkeys just trying to poke out, get the siege on. They have the Fire Jet to resustain and Terror as well. Be able to lock on
with a perfect ultimate. He's going to grab 2 players, and he follows up. He's a monster monkey.
Phoenix on the left-hand side goes down. F. lost his train of thought because he was so excited about saying monster monkey that he shut up mid-conversation. Mirage to the sky, though, looking for the big old dunk. Gets 3. Homie F. the brunt of the damage, but Vetium is the killer on the front lines for the Monkeys. Final K dueling with Sops, and Sops is having a hard time of things up against Final K.
Final K
D
has
aside for for Monkeys, and that is game 1.
Final K has been such a pleasure to watch. I think I said it earlier, but I have been loving watching Final K in his young SPL career. He makes the aggressive plays that I want to see. He knows how to do it, man. What an excellent addition to Monkey Madness. And, you know, that came, keep in